What?
Say it one more time.
Todd Monken said this morning that your role is TBD, to be determined.
Mm-hmm.
What's your reaction to that? What does that mean to you when you hear that?
I mean, that's what's expected. You know, that's what's expected. I think each and every day I have to prove to everybody and to myself also. So it's kind of like having goals and accomplishing those goals, whether it's small goals, and the small goals will end up to long-term success. So it's kind of like just hit your landmarks on what you need to do.
Have you talked to Todd Monken?
Yeah.
You have?
Coach Monken's, he's real cool.
Tell me about that.
It was cool. We had a brief interaction, honestly. The fact that I have this mindset that I'm able to handle pretty much anything, you know. So I'm just thankful to be here. You know, I'm thankful to have Coach Monken and being able to connect with him and get his perspective of ball and see how he sees the game. So I want to do everything I want to do the same, but I want to take it a little deeper.
He's reportedly said this morning that your role is to be determined. What's your reaction to that? What does that mean to you when you hear that?
I mean, that's what's expected. You know, that's what's expected. I think each and every day I have to prove to everybody and to myself also. So it's kind of like having goals and accomplishing those goals, whether it's small goals, and the small goals will end up to long-term success. So it's kind of like just hit your landmarks on what you need to do. Focus more in depth on everything, on what you want to, and just be in control of your life and what you can control.
Even like Monken's answers on Shedeur today, where he should have
gone harder in the paint of being like, that's my guy.
No, he did the right thing, which is, hey, nobody's guaranteed a spot here, and they have to work it out. But now you have to match that with actually letting it play out.
Yeah, I thought his answer was pretty good, all things considered. I think people wanted more. I kept seeing my Shedeur people wanting a little bit more. But I thought it was the exact right thing, because it's the exact right thing that we would tell you guys right here, right now. Nobody's saying Shedeur's guaranteed to be QB1 next year. He's going to have a shot and an opportunity, and if he's the better quarterback in training camp and he looks better than the other quarterbacks, then he gets to start week 1.
There's a decent chance Shedeur plays well next year. And again, I don't know what anybody's definition of well is, but just better than whatever you thought he played this last year. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean the Browns should exclude an idea if there's the right quarterback out there this offseason, either in free agency trade or in the draft. I also don't think whether it's Deshaun, Shedeur, or Dylan, I don't think you should be in the mad scramble to get any quarterback like you were last offseason. I think this might be the case where continuity at the quarterback position is better than forcing someone who doesn't either fit what Monken likes to do or is past his expiration date or is just never will be.
Well, that's why I do believe in Matt Miller's report yesterday that the Browns are not going to force anything when it comes to drafting a quarterback. Now, are they open to the idea, just kind of like Shedeur, if somebody falls into their lap and they can't resist the value out there, that they take a chance on them? Yeah, that's in play. We've seen this team do that before. That's got to be in play. When it comes to the conversation, I thought Monken did a great job today, all things considered, with handling Shedeur, and it gave me nothing to worry about, all things considered.
When Todd Monken told the media that Shedeur Sanders' role as QB1 is to be determined, the entire NFL media thought they had their story. A rookie put on notice, a hot seat moment. But then Shedeur gave a response so calm, so mature, so perfectly executed that it didn't just shut down the narrative, it exposed everyone who's been doubting him. And here's the crazy part. This isn't the first time Monken and Shedeur have crossed paths. What happened behind closed doors reveals exactly why Cleveland brought in this coach and why Shedeur isn't worried about a damn thing. By the end of this video, you'll understand why the Browns just locked in their next franchise QB, whether the media wants to admit it or not.
Well, I'm going in at. Oh, yeah.
Hey, young man. What's up? Good to see you. How you doing? Welcome back to the States.
How we doing, man?
Good.
They tried to draft your house last year. It's all worked out.
Yeah.
I remember that, right?
That's what I was about to tell you.
Someday we'll get a chance to talk about that. Yeah. Awesome. Well, sit down.
All right, so let me paint the picture for you, because what just went down in Cleveland is absolutely wild, and nobody's connecting the dots the way they should be. You've got Todd Monken walking into his first press conference as the new head coach of the Cleveland Browns, right? Fresh off the plane, probably hasn't even unpacked his bags yet, and what's the very first question he gets hit with? Mary Kay Cabot, who's basically become the voice of Cleveland sports media, doesn't waste a single second. She goes straight for the jugular. Will you head into this offseason with Shedeur Sanders as your QB1? Now think about that for a second. This man hasn't even had time to meet with his full coaching staff, hasn't reviewed all the film, hasn't had a proper sit-down with his quarterbacks, and the media is already demanding answers about Shedeur. That tells you everything you need to know about how this city feels about number 2. They're not asking about Deshaun Watson. They're not asking about the offensive scheme. They want to know about Shedeur Sanders. In Monken, he gives the classic coach answer. He says, well, I think like any position on the team, that's still to be determined. Am I excited about Shedeur? Am I excited about all the quarterbacks in the room? Absolutely. I can't wait for them to get back and for us to get started. To be determined, TBD. Those 3 letters sent shockwaves through the internet. Twitter was going crazy. The talking heads on ESPN were already cooking up their hot takes. Shedeur's on the hot seat. The Browns aren't committed. 5th-round pick still has to prove himself. But here's what everyone missed. Here's what the casual fans scrolling through their feed didn't catch. This wasn't shade. This wasn't Monken throwing doubt on Shedeur. This was coaching 101. What's he supposed to say? Yeah, the kid who just got here is automatically my starter and everyone else can pack their bags. Come on. You can't walk into a locker room and anoint someone before you've even started working with them. That's how you lose a team before the season even starts. But the media doesn't care about nuance. They wanted their story. They wanted controversy. And they thought they had it. Until Shedeur opened his mouth. Let me set the scene for you. Shedeur is doing an interview with Kay Adams, probably one of the realest voices in sports media right now. She's not trying to trap him, not trying to create drama. She's just keeping it 100. And she brings up what Monken said. She tells Shedeur straight up, Todd Monken said this morning that your role is to be determined. What's your reaction to that?
Hey Todd, Chris Easterling, Akron Beacon Journal. Just want to ask you, as a former quarterback, what is it you're specifically looking for in a quarterback? What is that trait? What are the traits that you feel like are critical for a successful quarterback, regardless of level?
Well, I'm just going to start with personality traits. I mean, when you talk about who's going to lead this team, who has the it factor, who has those characteristics that the team wants to follow and believes in them.
Now, this is where most rookies would fumble. This is where ego kicks in, where insecurity shows, where you might see a flash of frustration or defensiveness. You know what Shedeur said? That's what's expected. 4 words. That's what's expected. And then he continued, I think each and every day I have to prove to everybody and to myself also. So it's kind of like having goals and accomplishing those goals, whether it's small goals, and the small goals will end up to long-term success. So it's kind of like just hit your landmarks on what you need to do. Focus more in depth on everything on what you want to, and just be in control of your life and what you can't control. Yo, can we just take a moment to appreciate how ridiculous that answer is? Not ridiculous like bad, ridiculous like this is a 23-year-old kid who just gave a response that would make a seasoned veteran proud. There's no panic, no deflection, no, well actually, energy, just pure, unfiltered maturity. He basically said, yeah, I have to prove myself every single day. That's the job. That's what I signed up for, and I'm ready for it. That's the kind of answer that makes coaches fall in love with a player. That's the kind of mindset that separates the guys who flame out after one season from the guys who become franchise quarterbacks for the next decade. But here's where this story gets really interesting, because the relationship between Todd Monken and Shedeur Sanders, this isn't new. This isn't some random pairing where a coach and a quarterback are just now meeting for the first time. No, no, no. These two have history. And when you understand that history, Monken's to be determined comment makes even more sense because he's protecting Shedeur. Let me take you back to high school. Shedeur Sanders is one of the top quarterback prospects in the country. He's got offers from everywhere, Alabama, Georgia, LSU, you name it. And guess who was recruiting him? Todd Monken. At the time, Monken was the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach at Georgia. He was on Shedeur early, trying to get him to Athens, trying to convince him that Georgia was the place to be. Obviously, Shedeur ended up going a different route. He went to Jackson State to play for his father, Deion Sanders. But that relationship with Monken, it was established. The foundation was laid. Fast forward a few years, Shedeur's tearing it up at Colorado, putting up video game numbers, leading game-winning drives, showing the entire country that he belongs on the biggest stage. And where's Todd Monken? He's the offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens. And you know what the Ravens wanted to do in the 2024 draft? They wanted to draft Shedeur Sanders. The Ravens were sitting there, probably in the late first or early second round, and they had Shedeur on their board. They wanted to bring him in as Lamar Jackson's eventual successor, groom him in one of the best offensive systems in the league. But the draft didn't fall their way, and Shedeur ended up going to Cleveland in the 5th round, which, let's be honest, is one of the wildest draft slides we've seen in years.
With you, and you heard Monken drop right there that we tried drafting you. You know, Monken was with the Baltimore Ravens, who wanted to draft Shedeur in the 5th round, and Shedeur ultimately opted that he wanted to be in a place where he could start in shorter fashion. That led him to the Browns. I have to think, Coach, that Shedeur is set up really nicely here, that the hire of Todd Monken benefits Shedeur Sanders because Monken obviously liked him enough where he was in the war room with the Ravens, where that was going to be a quarterback that they were going to add to their organization last season.
But here's the point. Todd Monken has been trying to coach Shedeur Sanders for almost a decade. From high school to the pros, this man has been following Shedeur's career, studying his game, believing in his potential. And now, finally, they're in the same building. You want proof of how excited Monken is about this? Go back and watch the video of their first meeting this year. When Shedeur walks into the facility, Monken's face lights up like a kid on Christmas morning. He immediately goes, "You know, we tried to draft your ass last year." That's not the greeting of a coach who's unsure about his quarterback. That's a coach who's been waiting for this moment. And Shedeur, cool as ever, just laughs and says, "Yeah, I remember that." Monken continues, "Someday we'll get a chance to talk about that." Translation, we're going to have a long, successful run together, and one day we'll look back on this journey and appreciate how it all came together. So when people hear "to be determined" and think Shedeur's on shaky ground, they're completely missing what's actually happening here. Monken can't come out and publicly anoint Shedeur because he has to manage a locker room that still has Deshaun Watson, that still has other quarterbacks who need to feel like they have a shot. But make no mistake, Todd Monken got this job in large part because the Browns know he's the perfect coach to develop Shedeur Sanders. And Shedeur knows it too. That's why his response was so calm. That's why there was no defensiveness, no frustration. He understands the game within the game. He understands that coaches have to say certain things to the media, but what really matters is what happens behind closed doors, in meeting rooms, on the practice field. Let me tell you something else about Shedeur that people don't talk about enough. This kid has been prepared for this moment his entire life. He grew up in the spotlight. He's Deion Sanders' son, which means he's been dealing with doubters, haters, and ridiculous expectations since he was in middle school. He was on reality TV. He went to an HBCU when everyone said he should go to a Power 5 school. He transferred to Colorado when everyone said it was a mistake. He got drafted in the 5th round when everyone agrees he should have been a first-rounder. And through it all, he's kept the same energy. Confident but not cocky. Focused but not robotic. Authentic but media savvy. That's the it factor Monken was talking about in his press conference. When another reporter asked Monken what he looks for in a quarterback, his answer was telling. He didn't start with arm strength or accuracy or footwork. He started with personality traits. He said, when you talk about who's going to lead this team, who has the it factor, who has those characteristics that the team wants to follow and believes in them because the ball's in their hand every single down, the it factor. Who do you think he's describing? It sure as hell isn't Deshaun Watson at this point in his career. It's Shedeur Sanders, the kid who walks into Pro Bowl practice and has players from every team gravitating toward him. The kid who shows up to Fashion Week in Paris and carries himself like he belongs there just as much as he belongs in the pocket on 4th down.
More dudes in general.
Well, and the thing I want to say about the Browns, when you lose, the idea of winning or losing, perception is reality, really comes to light when you're losing. So right now, we have no idea if Shedeur is bought in. We have no idea if Deshaun is not bought in. But perception is reality. And right now, that perception is Deshaun was there, and Deshaun wasn't there, and Shedeur was. And that's a problem when you're losing, is that you kind of rely on that perception. That's what guys like Shedeur know with his status as being famous before he's even doing it. He understands that perception's important.
People want to act like Shedeur's success is just because of his last name, just because of well-off media, just because of the hype machine that is Deion Sanders. But let me ask you this. If it was that easy, why doesn't every famous athlete's kid become a star? Why do so many sons of NFL legends wash out of the league? Because talent and preparation matter, and Shedeur has both. I'm going to be real with you. I don't think Shedeur is doing this for the money. Yeah, he's got the Nike deal. Yeah, he's got the social media following. Yeah, he made bank during his NIL days at Colorado. But if you listen to how he talks, if you watch how he carries himself, this is about something deeper. This is about proving to his father, and more importantly to himself, that he can do this at the highest level. Being Deion's son should have been an advantage. It should have helped him in the draft the same way being a Manning helped Peyton and Eli, but it didn't. If anything, it hurt him. There were teams that passed on him specifically because they didn't want to deal with Deion's personality, with the media circus, with the attention. And that's not fair to Shedeur. But instead of complaining, instead of crying about it, he put his head down and got to work. And now he's in Cleveland, paired with a coach who's been believing in him since high school, playing for a fan base that's absolutely starving for a franchise quarterback. The pieces are falling into place. The stage is set. Look, I get it. Deshaun Watson is still on the roster. He's still making $230 million fully guaranteed. The Browns can't just cut him without taking a massive cap hit. But let me tell you something. If Shedeur comes into training camp and proves he's the better quarterback, and I believe he will, the Browns are going to have to make a tough decision. They're going to have to decide if they want to keep running out a declining veteran just because they're paying him, or if they want to build around a young quarterback who represents the future. And honestly, I think they'll choose the future. I think Todd Monken came to Cleveland specifically because he sees Shedeur Sanders as his franchise quarterback for the next 10, 15 years. I think the front office knows what they have, and I think the fans are already all in on Shedeur. You see him at the Pro Bowl, interacting with fans, signing autographs, taking selfies. You see how the city of Cleveland has embraced him even though he's only been there for a few months. That's not manufactured. That's not fake. That's genuine love and excitement for what he represents. So when Todd Monken says to be determined, don't read that as doubt. Read it as protection. He's giving Shedeur space to develop without putting unnecessary pressure on him. He's managing expectations. He's doing what good coaches do. And when Shedeur responds with, "That's what's expected," he's showing you everything you need to know about his mentality. He's not entitled. He's not expecting anything to be handed to him. He knows he has to earn it. And honestly, that's exactly the mindset you want from your franchise quarterback. The NFL is about to learn what Colorado fans already know, what Jackson State fans already know, what people who've actually watched Shedeur play, not just seen the highlights or read the headlines, already know. This kid can ball, and more importantly, he's built for the pressure. He's built for the spotlight. He's built for the moments when everything is on the line and you need your quarterback to make a play. Todd Monken knows it, Shedeur knows it, and soon the entire league is going to know it. So here's my question for you. Do you think Shedeur Sanders will be the Week 1 starter next season? And more importantly, do you think the Browns finally found their franchise quarterback after all these years of searching? Drop your honest thoughts in the comments because I want to hear from both the believers and the doubters. And if you made it this far, you know what time it is. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video. We're going to be following Shedeur's journey all season long, and trust me, you're going to want to be here for every moment. Let's get it. I'll see you in the next one.